Back with another market update, September 2025, giving you a quick look at what to expect here as the year winds down. We're about to enter into the fourth quarter. What do we expect for real estate? And we're going to jump into that right now. If this is your first time to the channel, we really appreciate you tuning in to today's episode where we cover what to expect with interest rates in the real estate market. As always, we get calls, texts, and emails, people looking for advice, asking questions. Maybe they're considering retiring, moving to Granbury. Maybe they're relocating for work. For whatever reason, they've got their eyes on this general area, and we would love to give you any advice or connect with you. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button and press the bell for notifications so you can keep up with what's going on here in Granbury and the surrounding region. So jumping into today, what I want to do is focus on some of the most recent news that's come out. People that are not tracking this every day, sometimes it's a boring life. So keeping up with all of these details is not something you do. So I try to give you an update every so often, especially when some things happen that could trigger some significant changes. So I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to share the screen and we are going to look at some information about the jobs market. A critical warning for jobs market as Americans claiming benefits hits highest level in 4 years. So people claiming benefits is way up. I collect a few screenshots over the course of a couple of weeks, and usually what I want to do is just kind of give you a snapshot of some of the things that we're seeing. Salesforce, which is a major CRM in sales, they cut 4,000 of its customer support roles and cited, AI as the reason for this. We can look at a few people that I follow. Very good. Logan Motashomi is very good with kind of giving you updates on the real estate market, interest rates, and things like that. The PPI final demand data is 2.6 year over year. Estimates were for 3.3. So on the inflation side, we saw some cooling on the PPI report that suggests that jobs market is getting worse. A lot of people are getting laid off. Unemployment is rising. And inflation is not getting out of hand. There's two dangers for the Fed, or for the folks that are, the Fed is kind of the group that are determining the prime rate for interest rates. And there's two dangers. There's inflation and then there's jobs. If inflation is going really high, then jobs market is doing really good. You want the job market to be doing good, but you don't want the inflation. So you've got to bring down the inflation. What happens is when you bring down the inflation, you also run the risk of bringing down the job market. And if inflation is getting really out of hand, then when they go to do what they need to do, the signal that they're creating another danger is in the weakening job market, which is what is happening. So if we go look at a few pieces of information, that's the inflation data. There was a report that came out where we're revised down. So basically we're removed from what they had put in their original estimates. So they had these numbers and the report came out, there was actually 911,000 less. It was a huge downward revision, which means that the job market was very weak 3-4 months ago, but the numbers didn't reflect that weakness. Now it's showing up, which means this information is lagging big time for what the reality of the job market is. And it's anecdotal, but I have a few clients right now who have been laid off and who are having a hard time finding a new job. It's anecdotal, I understand. I had a couple that got laid off last year, but they were able to go and locate new jobs. The ones that's been laid off this year are having a very hard time locating a new job. I actually have one person that's going to be relocating to a different state, and they had everything lined out, and the job actually pulled back their offer, and now they're in a situation where they're not really sure what they're going to do. It's not an easy market by any stretch in terms of the labor market. Let me show you one more. This one gives you a look at August. So there was a 22,000 increase in total non-farm payroll employment and unemployment rate of 4.3%. So it mentions the downward revision again. The unemployment rate being at 4.3, that's the highest we've seen, I believe, since 2022. And so there is a significant growing concern that we're going to see the labor market continuing to weaken, and we're going to see unemployment continuing to increase, and that is going to put major pressure on the Fed to begin making the rates less restrictive. So we'll look at one more thing. So this is August PPI inflation falls to 2.6. Core PPI inflation fell to 2.8. Month over month was negative for just the second time since March 2024. Rate cuts are on their way. So the Fed are supposed to be meeting Thursday. They're supposed to be meeting Thursday to discuss a rate cut. So what am I expecting? We're expecting probably a 25 basis point cut, 0.25% cut in the prime rate. If that happens, I don't believe we're going to see much change at all in the interest rate because I believe everyone has already priced that cut in. So if for some reason it comes out and it's a 0.5%, then we might see the rates come down some because everyone is priced in probably a 0.25%, is kind of what my projection. Now, if in that meeting, the Fed says we're going to meet and discuss another rate cut next month, then we will see the rates actually meaningfully drop because we're going to price in the next cut. And there's going to be a guess. If they price in a 50 basis point cut and it ends up being a 0.25%, then what you're going to have is the rates are actually going to go up after the rate cut, because a lot of this stuff happens anticipating, the markets are anticipating what the Fed's going to do, and they're kind of aligning with what everyone thinks they're going to do. And then if they do it, then everything stays stable. If something happens differently, then the market will adjust. But that's just how it's been for the last 2 years, at least. Even going back to the last rate cut when it happened, it didn't really move the markets at all. So what is that going to do for the real estate market? Okay, we're going to actually put together another video. If you live in Granbury and you're thinking about selling and you're trying to time the market, we're going to make a specific video about that. But what does it mean for the market? Well, if the Fed meets Thursday and they agree to do a rate cut, and they signal that they're going to do another rate cut before the end of the year, then we're going to see rates probably drop into the high fives. We're at the lowest rates we've been all year, maybe the lowest in 2 years. So the rates are doing really well comparatively. So we're seeing the rates go, if we see them drop under 6, 5.9, if we see that happen without any buy downs, you're going to see the market start to warm up a little bit. For perspective, we were at 6.8 2.5 months ago when the rates dropped on some of this jobs data. Has kind of been accumulating, getting worse and worse. The rates have come down to about 6.1. Mortgage applications are up 10%. So with a half, or maybe a little over a half, just say a 0.5% decrease in interest rate, in the mortgage interest rate, you see a 10% increase in mortgage application. If we see another 0.5% decrease in the interest rate, it would be reasonable to expect another 10% increase in mortgage applications. So what does that mean for you? What does it mean if you're looking at the market and you're saying, well, what does lower rates mean for me if I'm a buyer, if I'm looking to relocate and move to Granbury, if I am going through a job relocation, if I'm relocating my family to this area, I work remote, what does it mean for me if the prime rate in the Fed meeting is going to lower rates? If we're seeing rates go lower over the next 2 to 3 months, what does that mean is going to happen? Well, there's a few things that are going to happen. Number one, if the mortgage applications increases by 10%, that means that the inventory for existing properties is going to decrease by 10%. It makes sense. So if you've got 10 homes for sale and normally 4 sale, and that increases, the rate increases by 10%, that means 1 extra of those is going to sell, which means there's going to be 1 less available. So what happens is as the interest rates go down, a few more buyers come on the market. When that happens, there's a few less homes available because there's more buyers buying. When that happens, the prices tend to stabilize and even begin to increase because there's less homes available and there's a growing population of buyers. So where we're at right now is it's actually a buyer's market. Buyers are getting good deals on homes. They're able to work out incentives. They're able to work out decreases in price, and they're able to work out a pretty good deal. Their payments are high because interest rates are high, but the sales price itself looks good. Well, they're getting more movement, a lot more movement. What's going to happen is as the buyer pool increases, becomes larger, the amount of listings will likely decrease some, and that will stabilize pricing and allow sellers to be able to work out a little bit better deals for themselves. As that moves into 2026, with Fed Chair Powell coming out around May next year, and whoever his replacement is going to be much more favorable to lowering the rates, you're going to see the interest rates come down more, and you're going to see the mortgage applications increase more, and you're going to see inventory be bought down more. Now, what happens as that happens is that the prices begin to come back up. Construction work begins to come back. People that are shipping gravel, concrete, all these workers start getting cool. 18-wheelers, drivers start to get jobs brought back. Builders start to have confidence in building again. Inventory starts to kind of replenish by a healthy market, and buyers continue to come onto the market, and you have kind of a stabilization. What we want is a balanced market where it's just a fair price for both sides. Right now, it favors the buyer pretty intensively. 2 years ago, it was favoring the seller very intensively, and it was an extreme seller's market. I'm not saying that in November or January, February of 2026, that it's going to be a seller's market. That's not what I'm saying, but it is going to begin to favor the sellers more and more as the rates come down. So if someone is thinking about buying, the interest rates are really going to help make things more affordable, because even if the price goes up by, say, $8,000 next year, $10,000 next year, the value of the home. So what do I expect? If you're thinking about buying, you're going to see less available homes. There's going to be a little bit more competition. So if you go look right now, there's a lot of homes. Now, with the caveat, there is, for specialized properties like open body waterfront homes between 800,000 and $1 million, that specific price point remains competitive regardless of the market. So that's one little caveat there, because there are some specific niches that have continued to do very well. If you've got a unique property or has like some very specific amenities, there are some buyers that are in a position to be able to buy basically no matter what the economy is doing. And Granbury kind of has that resilience that regardless of what's going on with the economy, with the market, the interest rates, there are people that can come and buy these specific types of homes regardless. But in general, I would say we're going to see less availability for your typical home as we move into next year. And I don't mean that in a bad way either. I think that right now you go look and man, there's a lot of homes for sale, especially in like some of these neighborhoods in the 300,000 to 500,000 range. There is a lot of homes for sale in Granbury, and Pecan Plantation, and De Cordova, and there's a lot to choose from. But because of that, the buyers are able to work out substantially better deals for themselves. So with that, I think that gives you a good snapshot of what to expect in the market. I appreciate you watching today's video. If anything changes, if the Fed, they're meeting this Thursday, I'm assuming a 0.25% rate cut. This is risky, because you might be watching this 3 days after that, and I might look like a big idiot. But, I think I like doing that so that people can see, what I'm saying, is it coming true? So you can kind of see what to expect. So today, I'm actually recording this on Monday, September 15th. So this video might not go out for a week or two anyway. So by the time you watch this, the rate cut will have happened or have not happened. But I'm expecting a 25% basis cut for the interest rates. I'm expecting that to happen, so I am eager to hear that. I suspect they're probably going to plan to do one more rate cut this year, and if they announce that on Thursday in addition to a rate cut, I think that could bode well for maybe getting some lower rates toward the end of the year. So if you enjoyed this, I really appreciate your support. Feel free to reach out to me if you got questions and you're just kind of waiting for the right time. I have people all the time reach out to me. Sometimes even they're buyers that are 2027 that are just reaching out to say hello, thank me for the videos. I love to hear from folks. It definitely motivates me, and it is very encouraging. So I appreciate everyone that's watching. Stay tuned. I've got a seller video. If you live here in Granbury and you're thinking about selling and you're looking to try to time it right, reach out to me, let me know. Maybe I can help put some stuff together for you if you need help, contractors or whatever. Would love the chance to connect with you and visit. If I don't hear from you, hope to see you around Granbury sometime.